The transport ship shuddered as it docked with Frontier Station Artemis 7. Commander Han Jiwoo grabbed his bag and stepped into the airlock. His boots made hollow sounds on the metal floor. Through the window, he could see the massive station floating in the darkness of space. Stars stretched endlessly beyond it. This was his new home, his new command. After 12 years of military service and 3 years fighting in the war, he finally had his own posting. The war with the Vrexian Empire had ended 6 months ago. The peace treaty was signed. Everyone said it was time to move forward. But Jiwoo still remembered the faces of the friends he lost. The airlock opened. A young officer saluted him. "Commander Han Jiwoo? Welcome to Artemis 7, sir. Admiral Park Tae-hyun is waiting for you in the command center." Jiwoo nodded and followed the officer through the narrow corridors. The station was huge, with multiple levels and hundreds of rooms. Crew members passed by, some human, some not human. Jiwoo tensed when he saw a tall figure with blue-tinged skin walk past. A Vrexian. Here on a human station, he knew about the integration program. The peace treaty required human and alien forces to work together now. But knowing about it and seeing it were two different things. The command center doors slid open. Admiral Park Tae-hyun stood by the main screen, his hands behind his back. He was a broad-shouldered man with gray hair and sharp eyes. When he saw Jiwoo, he smiled. "Commander Han, good to see you made it safely." "Thank you, sir. Happy to be here." The admiral gestured to a chair. "Sit down. We need to talk about your assignment." Jiwoo sat, feeling slightly nervous. The admiral's tone was serious. "You've been given command of the station's defense operations," the admiral began. "You'll oversee all security protocols, training exercises, and rapid response teams. It's a big responsibility." "I understand, sir. I won't let you down." "I know you won't." The admiral paused. "But there's one more thing. As part of the peace agreement, all command positions must have integrated leadership. That means you'll be working with a Vrexian officer as your second in command." Jiwoo felt his jaw tighten. "Sir, I know what you're going to say," the admiral interrupted. "I know you lost people in the war. We all did. But this is bigger than personal feelings. The entire peace treaty depends on programs like this working. If we can't show that humans and Vrexians can work together, the whole thing falls apart. Do you understand?" Jiwoo swallowed hard. "Yes, sir." "Good." The admiral pressed a button on his desk. "Send her in." The door opened. A woman walked in and Jiwoo's breath caught in his throat. She was tall, nearly 6.5 feet. Her skin was smooth and pale, with a faint luminescent quality that seemed to shift between white and soft blue. She had 4 fingers on each hand instead of 5. Her face was humanoid but different. Higher cheekbones, larger eyes that were completely silver without visible pupils, and no hair. Instead, she had delicate, ridge-like patterns on her scalp that glowed faintly. She wore a Vrexian military uniform adapted with human insignia. She stood at attention and gave a crisp salute. "Officer Lyra of House Velnar." "Reporting as ordered, Admiral." Her voice was clear and strong, with a slight melodic quality that made human speech sound almost musical. "At ease," the Admiral said. "Lyra, this is Commander Han Jiwoo. He'll be your commanding officer." Lyra turned those silver eyes to Jiwoo. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Jiwoo saw something in her expression. Was it disgust? Anger? He couldn't read alien faces. "Commander?" she said with a slight bow of her head. "Officer Lyra," Jiwoo replied stiffly. The Admiral looked between them. "I expect you both to work together professionally. This station is a symbol of the new peace. The eyes of both our governments are watching. Don't disappoint me." "No, sir," they said together. "Dismissed." "Lyra, show Commander Han to his quarters." They walked through the corridors in tense silence. Jiwoo could feel the eyes of other crew members on them. Some humans looked uncomfortable. Some Vrexians looked curious. Everyone was watching. "Your quarters are on level 3, Lyra said, her voice neutral. "Mine are nearby." The Admiral thought it would be efficient for command staff to be close. "I see." More silence. Jiwoo wanted to say something, anything, but the words stuck in his throat. "What do you say to someone whose people killed your friends? How do you work with the enemy?" They reached his door. Lyra stopped and turned to face him. Her skin shifted to a darker blue. Jiwoo wondered what that meant. "I know you don't want me here," she said quietly. "I can see it in your face. Humans are not good at hiding emotions." Jiwoo's jaw clenched. "I follow orders. That's all that matters." "Yes, orders. Her skin flickered again. I lost people too, Commander. My entire squadron died in the Battle of Kepler Station. I watched them burn. I held my closest friend as she died. So I understand how you feel. Jiwoo felt something twist in his chest. He hadn't expected that. He hadn't expected her to sound so human. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Alert! Alert! Unidentified vessels detected at Outer Marker 7. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Lyra's eyes widened. Without a word, she turned and ran toward the command center. Jiwoo dropped his bag and followed her. His heart pounded. His first day and they were already under threat. They burst into the command center together. Screens showed multiple red dots approaching the station. Admiral Park was already there, along with other officers. Report. The Admiral barked. 6 ships, sir, a young officer said. Small class, probably pirates. They're ignoring all hails. Pirates? Jiwoo stepped forward. This sector is supposed to be secure. They're targeting the civilian transport that arrived an hour ago, Lyra said, pointing at another screen. Look at their vector. They're not after the station. They're after the refugees. Refugees? Jiwoo looked at the data. The transport was carrying people displaced by the war. Humans and Vrexians fleeing destroyed colonies. The Admiral turned to them. Commander Han, Officer Lyra, this is your operation. Stop those pirates before they reach that transport. You have full authorization to use force. Jiwoo and Lyra looked at each other. This was it. Their first mission together. Jiwoo had planned to spend time reviewing protocols, learning about the station, getting to know his crew. Instead, they were going into combat. We'll need a team, Jiwoo said. Agreed, Lyra replied. I suggest quick strike fighters. We can intercept them before they reach the transport. What about their weapons? Pirates usually have light arms. Nothing that can penetrate military shields. We'll have the advantage. Jiwoo nodded slowly. She was right. He turned to the Admiral. We'll take 4 fighters. Request permission to launch. Granted, go. They ran to the hangar bay together. Crew members scrambled to prepare the ships. Jiwoo pulled on a flight suit and grabbed a helmet. Across the bay, he saw Lyra doing the same. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Then they climbed into their fighters and launched into the darkness of space. The mission had begun. Ready or not, Commander Han Jiwoo and Officer Lyra were about to face their first test together. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Jiwoo wondered if they would survive it. The cockpit of the fighter hummed with power. Jiwoo gripped the controls and watched his scanner. 4 green dots showed his team, himself, Lyra, and 2 other pilots. 6 red dots showed the pirates moving fast toward the refugee transport. This is Commander Han, he said into his comm. Stay in formation. We intercepted Grid Charlie 7. Disable their engines first. Avoid killing shots unless necessary. Understood, came the responses from his team. Except Lyra. Her voice crackled over the comm. Commander, that won't work. Jiwoo felt irritation spike through him. Excuse me? The pirates won't stop just because we disable 1 or 2 ships. They work in packs. If we use your slow approach, they'll reach the transport before we can disable all 6 vessels. Officer Lyra, I gave an order. An order that will get people killed. Her voice was sharp. I've fought pirates in this sector before. They're desperate. If we don't hit them hard and fast, they'll panic and start shooting the transport. Through his canopy, Jiwoo could see Lyra's fighter keeping pace with his. His jaw clenched. She was challenging him. In front of the crew. On their first mission, what do you suggest? He asked coldly. We split up. You take 2 ships and come in from above. I'll take 1 ship and go in close, draw their attention. When they focus on me, you strike from behind. Fast and overwhelming. That's reckless. You'll be exposed. Vrexian ships are built for close combat. I can handle it. Jiwoo wanted to argue, but the red dots were getting closer to the transport. He could see it now on his long-range scanner. A big, slow civilian ship full of families. People who had already lost everything. He made a decision. Fine. But you follow my lead on the strike pattern. No improvising. Understood, Commander. Jiwoo switched channels. Captain Yoon, you're with me. Lieutenant Kang, go with Officer Lyra. Yes, sir, came the responses. They split up. Jiwoo led his 2 fighters up and around, using the debris field from an old destroyed station as cover. Through his canopy, he watched Lyra's fighter dive straight toward the pirate formation. Crazy, Captain Yoon Hajin muttered over the comm. She's going to get herself killed. Just be ready, Jiwoo said. Lyra's fighter screamed into range. The pirates immediately opened fire. Bright plasma bolts lit up the darkness. But Lyra moved like nothing Jiwoo had ever seen. She twisted, rolled, and dove. Her ship danced between the weapons fire as if she could see it coming. All pirates focusing on her, Lieutenant Kang reported. They've turned away from the transport. Now, Jiwoo shouted. The 3 fighters dropped from above. Jiwoo locked onto the lead pirate ship and fired. His cannons tore into its engine. The ship spun out of control. Yoon took out another. Lieutenant Kang disabled a third, but the remaining 3 pirates realized the trap. They scattered. One of them fired a desperate shot at the transport. No. Jiwoo's heart lurched. The transport's weak shields flared and died. Alarms blared across the comm. We're hit! Hull breach on deck 3. We have wounded. I'm going after that shooter, Lyra said. Her fighter shot forward with incredible speed. Lyra, wait! But she was already gone. Jiwoo cursed and dove after her. The pirate ship was trying to escape, but Lyra was faster. She came up beside it, matching its speed. Then she did something that made Jiwoo's blood run cold. She rammed her fighter into the pirate's wing. Both ships shuddered. The pirate lost control and spun away, but Lyra's fighter was damaged too. Sparks flew from her hull. Her engine sputtered. Lyra, report, I'm fine. Engine is damaged, but I can still fly. The pirate is disabled. Jiwoo pulled up beside her. Through his canopy, he could see scorch marks across her hull. That was insane. It worked. You could have died. But I didn't. The last 2 pirates tried to run. Yoon and Kang chased them down and disabled their engines. The battle was over. They had won. But Jiwoo's heart was still pounding. All fighters return to Artemis 7, he ordered. Yoon, escort the damaged ships. Yes, sir. They limped back to the station. The hangar bay was full of activity when they landed. Medical teams rushed past to help the wounded from the transport. Engineers swarmed Lyra's damaged fighter. Jiwoo climbed out of his cockpit and saw Lyra doing the same. She moved stiffly. When she turned, he saw burn marks on her flight suit. You're hurt. It's nothing. That's not nothing. You need medical attention. Commander, I said I'm fine. She stumbled. Jiwoo caught her before she fell. Up close, he could see the pain in her silver eyes. Her skin was flickering between blue and dark purple. Sweat, or whatever Vrexians had, covered her face. Medic, Jiwoo shouted. 2 medics ran over with a stretcher. They carefully took Lyra from his arms and laid her down. One of them cut away part of her suit. Underneath, her luminescent skin was burned and blistered. Plasma burn, the medic said. 2nd degree. She'll need treatment in the med bay. As they carried her away, Lyra grabbed Jiwoo's arm. Her 4-fingered hand was surprisingly strong. The refugees, she whispered. Are they safe? Yes, you saved them. She nodded and let go. They took her away. Jiwoo stood there for a long moment, staring at his arm where she'd grabbed him. Captain Yoon walked up beside him. That was quite a show, Yoon said quietly. She's reckless. Maybe. But she's also brave. Did you see her flying? I've never seen anyone move like that. Jiwoo didn't respond. He walked back to the command center to file his report. Admiral Park was waiting. Good work, Commander. You stopped the pirates and saved the transport. Officer Lyra saved the transport, Jiwoo heard himself say. She drew their fire and took out the shooter. She got hurt doing it. The Admiral nodded slowly. I heard. I also heard you 2 argued during the mission. Jiwoo felt defensive. She challenged my orders, sir. And was she right to do so? Jiwoo wanted to say no. He wanted to say she was insubordinate and reckless, but he couldn't lie to the Admiral. Yes, sir. Her strategy worked. Without it, the pirates might have destroyed the transport before we could stop them. Then perhaps you should tell her that. After filing his report, Jiwoo went to the med bay. He told himself it was just to check on his second-in-command. Nothing more. But as he walked through the quiet corridors, he couldn't stop thinking about how she'd looked when she asked about the refugees. She hadn't been concerned about herself, only about the innocent people. The med bay was quiet. Most of the wounded from the transport had been treated and moved to recovery rooms. Jiwoo found Lyra in a private room lying on a medical bed. Bandages covered her arms and part of her torso. Her skin was pale, almost white now. Commander, she said when she saw him. She tried to sit up. Don't rest, I'm fine. The doctor said I can return to duty tomorrow. Doctors always say that. Doesn't make it true. Jiwoo pulled up a chair and sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "I'm sorry I challenged you during the mission," Lyra said finally. "It was inappropriate." "No, you were right." The words were hard to say, but Jiwoo forced them out. "Your strategy saved lives. I should have listened sooner." Lyra's eyes widened. Her skin shifted to a soft gold color. Thank you, Commander. When you rammed that pirate ship, you were protecting the transport. You got hurt protecting innocent people, human people. They were refugees, war victims, just like my people, just like yours." Lyra looked down at her bandaged hands. "I told you I lost my squadron. It happened during an evacuation mission. We were protecting civilian ships when the enemy attacked. I watched those ships burn. I heard the screams on the comm. I couldn't save them." Her voice was soft, filled with old pain. Jiwoo felt something shift in his chest. "I lost my best friend at Kepler Station," he said quietly. "We grew up together, joined the military together. He died in my arms. I blamed your people for a long time, and now?" Jiwoo looked at her, really looked at her. Not as an enemy, not as an alien, just as another soldier who had fought and lost and was trying to move forward. "Now I think maybe we're not so different after all." Lyra's skin flickered to a warm amber. "Is that a good thing? I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out." A small smile touched her lips. It was strange seeing an alien smile, but it was genuine. "Get some rest, Officer Lyra, that's an order." "Yes, sir." As Jiwoo walked out of the med bay, he felt different somehow, lighter. The weight of anger and prejudice he'd been carrying felt a little less heavy. He didn't know if he could truly trust Lyra yet. But for the first time since arriving at Artemis 7, he thought maybe, just maybe, this assignment wouldn't be as terrible as he'd feared. Behind him, in the quiet medbay, Lyra lay back and closed her eyes. A soft amber glow surrounded her, the Vrexian color of hope. 3 weeks passed. Jiwoo settled into his role as commander. The station ran smoothly. The crew was efficient, and working with Lyra became easier. She was good at her job. Very good. She knew tactics and strategy better than most human officers Jiwoo had worked with. Her combat experience was extensive, and she worked hard, often staying late to review reports or help train new crew members. But there was a problem. Lieutenant Kim Yoonji knocked on Jiwoo's office door one morning. She was the operations officer, a sharp woman with short hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She looked uncomfortable. "Sir, I need to file a formal complaint." Jiwoo looked up from his reports. "About what?" "About Officer Lyra." Jiwoo set down his datapad. "Explain." "She's aggressive during briefings. She interrupts people. She argues with senior officers. Yesterday she practically shouted at Commander Park Do-yeon during the engineering meeting. It's disrespectful and disruptive." Jiwoo rubbed his temples. He'd noticed Lyra's behavior in meetings. She was intense, always challenging ideas and pushing back on suggestions, but he'd thought it was just her personality. "I'll talk to her." "With respect, sir, talking might not be enough. Several crew members have complained. They say she's difficult to work with." After Yoonji left, Jiwoo called Lyra to his office. She arrived quickly, standing at attention. "You wanted to see me, Commander?" "Sit down." Jiwoo waited until she sat. "I've received complaints about your behavior in meetings." Lyra's skin flickered to dark blue. "What complaints?" "People say you're aggressive, that you interrupt and argue too much, that you're disrespectful to senior officers." "I'm not being disrespectful. I'm engaging in proper debate. This isn't debate. It's conflict." Lyra stood up, her skin now a deep blue-purple. "In Vrexian culture, challenging ideas is how we show respect. It means we take someone seriously enough to engage with their thoughts. Sitting quietly and nodding is what we do when we don't care. Well, this isn't Vrexian culture. This is a human station. It's a joint station. Lyra, if humans want us to be silent and obedient, they should say so. Don't pretend you want cooperation when what you really want is submission." She left before Jiwoo could respond. The door slid shut behind her. Jiwoo sat alone in his office, frustrated and confused. He wanted to be angry at her, but part of him wondered if she had a point. The situation got worse 5 days later. A Vrexian delegation arrived for a formal inspection. They were high-ranking officials who would evaluate how well the integration program was working. Admiral Park ordered a formal dinner to welcome them. Jiwoo hated formal dinners. He had to wear his dress uniform and make small talk with politicians. But orders were orders. The dining hall was decorated nicely. Human and Vrexian flags hung together on the walls. The long table was set with both human and Vrexian dishes. Admiral Park sat at the head with the lead Vrexian ambassador beside him. Jiwoo was seated near the middle with Lyra across from him. She wore a formal Vrexian uniform that shimmered with subtle patterns. Her skin was a neutral pale color and her expression was carefully controlled. The dinner started well. People ate and talked politely. Admiral Park made a speech about cooperation and peace. The Vrexian ambassador responded with his own speech. Everything was going smoothly. Then Jiwoo made a mistake. The ambassador said something about future trade agreements. Jiwoo wanted to show interest, so he made a gesture, raising his hand with his thumb and first two fingers extended. In human culture, it meant okay, or I agree. Every Vrexian at the table went silent. The ambassador's skin turned dark red. The other Vrexians stood up from their seats. Angry muttering filled the room. "How dare you?" the ambassador said. His voice was cold with fury. Jiwoo felt panic rising. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. That gesture is a grave insult in Vrexian culture. It implies that I am a liar and a coward. Is that what you think of me, Commander?" "No, I didn't know. Ignorance is no excuse." Admiral Park stood up, trying to calm the situation. But the Vrexian delegation was already preparing to leave. The entire peace inspection was falling apart. Then Lyra stood up. "Ambassador, please." "The fault is mine, not Commander Han's." Everyone turned to look at her. Her skin was pale, almost white with stress. "What do you mean?" the ambassador demanded. "I was assigned to teach Commander Han about Vrexian customs. I failed in that duty. I should have explained all the important gestures and their meanings. Commander Han acted in ignorance because I did not properly educate him." "Officer Lyra, you don't have to," Jiwoo started. "I take full responsibility," Lyra continued, ignoring him. "Please direct your anger at me. I have brought shame to my people through my failure." She bowed deeply, her hands placed in a specific position that Jiwoo didn't recognize. The Vrexian ambassador stared at her for a long moment. Then he slowly sat back down. "Very well, I accept your explanation, but this cannot happen again." "It won't," Lyra promised. The dinner continued, but the mood was strained. As soon as it was acceptable to leave, Jiwoo excused himself. He went straight to his office and sat down heavily in his chair. His hands were shaking. He'd almost destroyed the peace treaty with one stupid gesture. An hour later, Lyra knocked on his door. "Come in," Jiwoo said. She entered, her skin still pale. "Commander, why did you do that?" Jiwoo interrupted. "You made me look like an idiot. I saved you from a diplomatic disaster that would have ended your career. By making yourself look bad instead?" "Yes." Lyra sat down without being invited. "If the ambassador believed you intentionally insulted him, it would have collapsed the inspection. He would have reported that humans cannot be trusted. Your superiors would have blamed you. You would have been reassigned, possibly discharged." Jiwoo stared at her. "So you lied to protect me?" "I didn't lie. I did fail to teach you properly about our customs. That was my responsibility as your second in command. You could have taught me, but I never asked. I never tried to learn." Lyra's skin shifted to a soft blue. "True." They sat in silence for a moment. "I'm sorry," Jiwoo said finally, "for how I reacted earlier, about the meetings. You were right. I expected you to act like a human instead of trying to understand your perspective. And I'm sorry for not explaining. I assumed humans understood basic Vrexian communication customs. I was wrong." Jiwoo leaned back in his chair. "We're terrible at this, aren't we?" "The worst." A hint of humor touched Lyra's voice. Jiwoo made a decision. "Starting tomorrow, we're going to fix this. 1 hour every evening. You teach me about Vrexian culture. I'll teach you about human culture. No more misunderstandings." Lyra's skin turned amber. "You want to learn about my culture?" "I have to if we're going to work together. And honestly, after tonight I realize how much I don't know, how much I've been assuming. Then I accept. 1 hour each evening." They started the next day. At first it was awkward. Lyra explained Vrexian customs while Jiwoo took notes. She taught him about their honor codes, their social structures, their history. He was surprised by how complex and beautiful it all was. In return, he taught her about human emotions, social cues, and military protocols. She asked hundreds of questions, always curious, always wanting to understand. Word spread through the station. Crew members noticed their commanders spending time together. Captain Yoon saw them in the observation deck one evening, Lyra demonstrating a traditional Vrexian gesture while Jiwoo practiced it clumsily. "You're spending a lot of time with the Vrexian woman," Yoon said later, his tone teasing. "She has a name, and it's part of our job." "Sure it is," Yoon grinned. "Nothing to do with the fact that you two actually get along now? We're colleagues. That's all." But even as Jiwoo said it, he wasn't entirely sure it was true. 2 weeks into their cultural exchange, something shifted. They were in the observation deck watching the stars. Lyra was teaching him about Vrexian poetry. "This is one of our oldest poems," she said, her voice soft. "It translates roughly as, 'In the darkness between stars, I found light. In the silence of space, I heard song. In the face of the enemy, I discovered friend.' That's beautiful. It was written during our first contact with another species. We were so afraid. We thought they would be monsters, but they showed us kindness instead." Jiwoo looked at her profile in the starlight. Her skin glowed softly amber. "Is that how you feel? About humans?" Lyra turned to face him. "At first I saw you as the enemy, as the people who killed my friends. But now," she paused, "now I see individuals. I see you, Commander Han Jiwoo, not just a human, but a person trying to do his best, trying to build something better." Something warm spread through Jiwoo's chest. "I see you too, Lyra, not as an alien, just as you." They stood there in the quiet observation deck, the universe vast around them. For the first time since the war ended, Jiwoo felt something like peace. The next day, Lieutenant Kim Yoonji approached him again. "Sir, I wanted to apologize. I understand now why Officer Lyra acts the way she does in meetings. She explained Vrexian communication customs to me. I was judging her by human standards when I should have been trying to understand her perspective." "Thank you, Lieutenant. That takes courage to admit." Yoonji smiled. "We're all learning, sir. That's what this piece is about, right? Learning to see each other differently." As she left, Jiwoo thought about her words. Learning to see each other differently. That's exactly what he and Lyra were doing. And maybe, just maybe, they were learning to see something more than just colleagues. But that was thou the distress signal came at 0300 hours. Jiwoo was in his quarters trying to sleep when the emergency alarm woke him. He grabbed his uniform and ran to the command center. Admiral Park was already there, along with Lyra and several other officers. Everyone looked tense. "Report," Jiwoo said. Lieutenant Yoonji brought up a star map. "Mining colony on Talos 4. They sent a distress call 20 minutes ago. They're under attack. Pirates again? Unknown." The signal cut off before they could give details. Yoonji paused. "But Commander, Talos 4 is a human colony. All human civilians?" Jiwoo felt cold spread through his chest.
"How many people?"
200 families, mostly miners and their children. We need to go now." Jiwoo turned to the Admiral. "Sir, request permission to take a rapid response team." "Granted. Take 2 ships and your best people." The Admiral looked at Lyra. "That includes you, officer." They assembled a team quickly. Jiwoo, Lyra, Captain Yoon, Lieutenant Yoonji, and a squad of soldiers. 2 assault ships launched from the station, racing through space toward Talos 4. The flight took 40 minutes. Jiwoo spent the time checking weapons and reviewing tactical data. Beside him, Lyra was silent, her skin a neutral pale color. She seemed focused, professional. When they arrived at Talos 4, Jiwoo's blood ran cold. The colony was burning. 3 military-grade ships orbited above it, firing plasma weapons at the settlement. Even from space, Jiwoo could see the destruction. "Those aren't pirates," Yoon said quietly. "Those are military vessels." Lyra leaned forward, studying the ships on the scanner. Her skin turned dark blue. "Vrexian warships. Modified, but definitely Vrexian design." "What?" Jiwoo stared at her. "You said the war was over." "It is. These must be extremists. Rebels who rejected the peace treaty. They're killing civilians." Jiwoo's voice rose. "Human civilians." "I know that, Commander. Open a channel," Jiwoo ordered. "All frequencies." The comm officer nodded. Jiwoo's hands clenched into fists. "This is Commander Han Jiwoo of Frontier Station Artemis 7. You are firing on unarmed civilians in violation of the peace treaty. Cease your attack immediately or we will open fire." For a moment there was silence. Then a voice crackled over the comm. It was deep and harsh, speaking accented human language. "Commander Han, how noble of you to come defend these humans. Tell me, is the traitor with you?" Jiwoo glanced at Lyra. Her skin had gone pale white. What traitor? Jiwoo demanded. Officer Lyra of House Velnar, the coward who abandoned her own people to serve humanity. Send her out and we will let you leave peacefully. That's not happening, then you will die with her. The Vrexian ships opened fire. Jiwoo's ships barely dodged. Plasma bolts screamed past them. Return fire, Jiwoo ordered. Protect the colony. The battle was fierce. The Vrexian ships were heavily armed and well piloted. Jiwoo's 2 ships darted and weaved, trying to draw fire away from the colony below. But it wasn't enough. The settlement was still being hit. We need to land a strike team, Lyra said. Take out their ground forces directly. We can't get through their fire. I can, Lyra stood up. I know their tactics. I can anticipate their movements. Jiwoo wanted to argue, but another explosion on the colony surface convinced him. Fine. Yoon, you're with Lyra. Take a squad and land near the colony center. Stop whoever's attacking the civilians. They took a smaller shuttle and launched from the main ship. Jiwoo watched on his scanner as they dove toward the surface, dodging plasma fire. His heart pounded. If Lyra died down there, he pushed the thought away and focused on the battle. On the ground, Lyra led the squad through smoke and fire. The colony was in chaos. Buildings burned. People screamed and ran, and in the center she saw them. Vrexian soldiers in black armor, different from regular military units. Extremists. Spread out, Lyra ordered. Use cover. They moved through the colony, engaging the extremists. Lyra fired her weapon with precision, taking down enemies one by one. Yoon stayed close to her, covering her blind spots. Then she saw him. A tall Vrexian in commander armor stood near the colony's main building. He was directing the attack, and she knew him. She knew that stance, that armor pattern, that way of moving. Voth, she whispered. Captain Yoon looked at her. What? Commander Voth, he was my mentor. He trained me when I first joined the military. Lyra's voice shook. He was like a father to me. Voth must have heard her voice. He turned, and even through his helmet she could feel his gaze. Lyra. His voice was cold. So you did betray us. I didn't betray anyone. I'm following the peace treaty. The treaty is a lie. Humans can never be trusted. They killed thousands of our people and now we're supposed to work with them. It's disgusting. The war is over, Voth. We need to move forward. No, we need revenge. Voth raised his weapon. Join us, Lyra. Remember who you are. Remember your people. Lyra felt torn apart inside. This was the man who taught her everything. Who believed in her. Who saved her life during the war. And now he was asking her to turn against everything she'd been building. Back on the ship, Jiwoo watched the tactical feed. He could see Lyra and Voth facing each other. Neither was moving. What's she doing? Lieutenant Yoonji asked nervously. Jiwoo's jaw clenched. The crew members around him muttered. He could hear the suspicion in their voices. Maybe she's actually working with them. Someone whispered. We should restrain her when she gets back. Even Yoon's voice came over the comm, quiet and uncertain. Commander, I'm not sure what's happening here. Jiwoo made a decision. He grabbed a weapon and headed to the shuttle bay. Sir, where are you going? Yoonji called after him. To get my officer. He took a small shuttle and dove through the battle, landing near where Lyra stood. He ran through the burning colony, his weapon ready. When he reached the confrontation, he stopped. Lyra and Voth were still facing each other. Other extremist soldiers surrounded them. Yoon and the squad were pinned down behind cover. It was a standoff. Jiwoo walked forward until he stood beside Lyra. Commander, you should leave, Lyra said quietly. Not happening. Voth laughed, a bitter sound. Touching. The human comes to save his pet alien. She's not a pet. She's my second in command. Jiwoo raised his weapon. And if you want her, you'll have to go through me. Jiwoo reached down and pulled a sidearm from his belt. He held it out to Lyra. What are you doing? Lyra whispered. Trusting you. Jiwoo looked into her silver eyes. I trust you, Lyra. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Lyra stared at the weapon in his hand. Her skin flickered through dozens of colors. Blue, purple, amber, red. Emotion she couldn't hide, she took the weapon. Voth smiled. Finally you see sense. Lyra turned the weapon toward him. The war is over, she said firmly. I choose peace. I choose a future where our children don't have to fight and die. I choose hope over hate. Then you choose death. Voth gave a signal. His soldiers opened fire. Everything happened at once. Jiwoo dove for cover, pulling Lyra with him. Yoon and the squad returned fire. The colony erupted into battle. Lyra fought beside Jiwoo, shooting at her own people. Tears streamed down her face. Her skin was dark purple with pain. But she didn't hesitate. Voth charged toward them. He was massive and strong, enhanced with military augmentations. He knocked Jiwoo aside and grabbed Lyra by the throat. "You disgrace your family," Voth snarled. "No," Lyra choked out. "I honor them. By building something better." She managed to twist free and kicked him back. Voth stumbled. For a moment, he and Lyra stared at each other. Then he raised his weapon toward Jiwoo, who was still on the ground. "No!" Lyra screamed. She fired. The shot hit Voth in the chest. He fell to his knees, shock on his face. Blood, purple blood, spilled from the wound. "Lyra," he whispered. Then he collapsed. The other extremists, seeing their commander fall, retreated to their ships. Within minutes, they fled into space. The battle was over. Lyra fell to her knees beside Voth's body. Her whole body shook. Jiwoo came to her side and put a hand on her shoulder. "You did what you had to do." "I killed him. I killed the man who taught me everything." Her voice broke. "He was like family. I know. I'm sorry." Lyra looked up at Jiwoo, her face wet with tears. "You trusted me. You gave me a weapon when everyone thought I would betray you. Why? Because I know you. Not as a Vrexian, not as an alien. As Lyra. And I knew you would make the right choice." She stood and turned to face the human squad. They stared at her with new expressions. Not suspicion anymore. Something else. Respect. Captain Yoon stepped forward and saluted her. "Officer Lyra, thank you for protecting us." One by one, the other soldiers saluted too. Back on the ship, word spread quickly about what happened. The crew whispered about how Lyra had fought her own people to protect humans. How she'd made the hardest choice possible. That night, Jiwoo found Lyra in the observation deck. She sat alone, staring at the stars. Her skin was pale gray. He sat beside her without saying anything. They stayed there for a long time in comfortable silence. Finally, Lyra spoke. "I keep seeing his face, Voth. He looked so surprised when I shot him. Like he couldn't believe I would actually do it. You saved my life. You saved all those colonists, I know. But it still hurts. It should hurt. That means you're not a monster. That means you still care." Lyra turned to look at him. "Thank you. For trusting me when no one else did. I'll always trust you." Something passed. The weeks after the Talos 4 incident changed everything. The crew of Artemis 7 saw Lyra differently now. She wasn't just the alien officer anymore. She was one of them. Someone who had proven her loyalty with blood. But for Jiwoo, something else changed too. He found himself watching Lyra during briefings, noticing how her skin flickered amber when she was pleased with a plan. How she tilted her head slightly when she was thinking. How her rare smiles were beautiful, even if they were alien. They spent more time together, not just for cultural exchange sessions anymore, but for meals, for walks around the station, for quiet conversations in the observation deck. Jiwoo told himself it was just friendship. Just two officers getting along, but he was lying to himself and he knew it. One evening, they sat in the station's small garden. It was a tiny space with real plants designed to help crew members feel less homesick. Lyra loved it. She said Vrexian ships never had gardens. "On my homeworld, we have forests of crystal trees," Lyra said, gently touching a leaf. "They grow in deep caves and glow in the darkness. When I was young, my mother would take me there. It was magical. It sounds beautiful. It is, or it was. I don't know what's left after the war." Her skin flickered to sad blue. So much was destroyed. So many places I'll never see again. Jiwoo wanted to comfort her. Without thinking, he reached out and put his hand on hers. She looked down at their touching hands, then up at his face. Her skin shifted to soft pink, an emotion Jiwoo had learned meant affection. "Jiwoo," she said softly. She'd started using his first name when they were alone. He pulled his hand back. "Sorry, I shouldn't have." "No, it's okay." She looked away. "I liked it." They sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Engineering Chief Park Do-hyun's voice came over Jiwoo's comm. "Commander, could you come to my office? I need to discuss something important." Jiwoo stood up reluctantly. "I have to go. I understand." As he walked away, he could feel Lyra watching him leave. Chief Park Do-hyun was an older man, a veteran who had served for 30 years. He was wise and direct. When Ji-woo entered his office, Do-hyun gestured to a chair. "Sit down, son." "What did you need, Chief?" "To give you some advice." Do-hyun leaned back in his chair. "I've been watching you and Officer Lyra. The whole station has been watching." Ji-woo felt his face heat up. You're falling for her. Don't try to deny it. I've seen that look on your face. The way you watch her. The way you smile when she enters a room. Chief, there's nothing inappropriate. I'm not saying there is. Not yet, but I know where this is going." Do-hyun's voice was gentle but firm. "And I need you to understand what you're risking." "What do you mean?" "Fraternization between officers is technically allowed, as long as it doesn't interfere with duty. But a relationship between a human and an alien? That's different. The regulations might allow it, but society won't be kind. Neither will the politicians. If you pursue this, both your careers could suffer." Ji-woo felt something heavy settle in his chest. "I know. Do you?" "Because I don't think you've really thought about what it means. You'll face discrimination, hatred. People on both sides will see you as traitors. Your families might disown you. You could lose everything." "I'm not pursuing anything." Do-hyun gave him a knowing look. "Not yet, but you want to. I can see it. So I'm telling you now, think carefully before you cross that line." Ji-woo left the office feeling confused and frustrated. He went to the training room and spent 2 hours hitting a punching bag until his knuckles bled. But it didn't help. The feelings were still there. The next day, Lyra received a private message. Ji-woo saw her reading it in the command center. Her skin flickered through several colors before settling on pale white. "What is it?" he asked. "A message from Vrexian High Command. They're offering me a promotion." Ji-woo felt his stomach drop. "What kind of promotion?" "Fleet commander." "My own ships. A position of real authority." She looked up at him. "It's what I always wanted before the war. It's everything I worked for. That's great." The words felt hollow. "I have to give them an answer within a week." "Right. Of course." They didn't talk about it after that. But the knowledge hung between them like a wall. Lyra walked around the station with her skin often shifting to troubled blue-purple. Ji-woo threw himself into work, staying busy to avoid thinking. 6 days later, the station hosted a celebration. It marked 6 months of successful human-Vrexian cooperation on Artemis 7. Admiral Park ordered everyone to attend. There was food, music, speeches. Ji-woo hated every minute of it. He smiled and shook hands and made polite conversation. But all he could think about was Lyra leaving. He hadn't realized how much she'd become part of his life until he faced losing her. He found her on the observation deck, away from the party. She stood alone, staring at the stars. Her formal uniform shimmered in the starlight. She looked beautiful and sad. "Hiding from the celebration?" he asked, walking up beside her. "I'm not good at parties. Too many people, too much noise." She glanced at him. "You're hiding too." "Maybe." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Lyra spoke, her voice soft. "I'm going to decline the promotion." Ji-woo's heart jumped. "What? Why?" "Because I've found something more important here. Something I didn't expect." She turned to face him fully. "I've found purpose. I've found a place where I can make a real difference. Where I can help build peace instead of fighting wars. Lyra, and I've found..." She hesitated, her skin shifting to deep pink. "I've found someone who makes me want to stay." Ji-woo's breath caught. They stared at each other. The universe seemed to hold still. "You should take the promotion," Ji-woo forced himself to say. "It's your dream. Your career. Dreams change. I had a dream of glory and command. But now I dream of something else. Something better." "What?" "A future where humans and Vrexians truly understand each other. Where we're not just tolerating each other, but genuinely connected." She took a step closer. "A future where I can be with..." Emergency alarms blared. Red lights flashed throughout the station. Both of them instinctively reached for their weapons. Lieutenant Yoonji's voice crackled over the comm. "All senior officers report to the command center immediately. We have an unidentified capital ship entering the sector. It's not responding to hails." They ran together through the corridors. The celebration had turned to chaos. People rushed to their stations. In the command center, Admiral Park stood before the main screen. On it was a massive Vrexian warship. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of Artemis 7. Its weapons were powered up. "Who is it?" Ji-woo demanded. "Fleet Admiral Krev," Lyra said quietly. Her skin had gone pale white. "He's one of the hardliners who oppose the peace treaty. He technically supports it, But he's always believed humans should be subordinate to Vrexians. What's he doing here? I don't know. But it's not good. The main screen activated. A Vrexian appeared. He was old, with deep ridge patterns on his head and cold silver eyes. His uniform was covered in medals. Artemis 7, this is Fleet Admiral Krev. I am here for a formal inspection of your integration program. Prepare to receive my boarding party. Admiral Park's jaw clenched. This is highly irregular, Fleet Admiral. We weren't notified. I don't need to notify you. I have authority from the High Command. If you refuse, it will be considered a violation of the peace treaty. The screen went dark. Admiral Park turned to his officers. This is bad. If Krev finds anything wrong here, he'll use it to undermine the entire integration program. He's looking for an excuse to prove humans and Vrexians can't work together. Then we won't give him one, Jiwoo said firmly. But as Krev's boarding party docked with the station, Jiwoo felt a cold sense of dread. The fleet admiral hadn't come just to inspect. He'd come to destroy something, and Jiwoo had a terrible feeling that something was the growing bond between him and Lyra. In the docking bay, Krev stepped onto Artemis 7 surrounded by guards. His cold eyes swept over the assembled officers. When his gaze landed on Lyra, his lips curled into a cruel smile. Officer Lyra, how interesting to see you here. Still playing house with the humans, I see. Lyra stood at attention, her skin completely neutral. Fleet Admiral, we have much to discuss. You and I. Krev looked at Jiwoo. And you, Commander Han. I'm very interested in learning about your command style. The way he said it made Jiwoo's skin crawl. The inspection had begun, and Jiwoo knew that whatever happened next would change everything. He glanced at Lyra. She met his eyes for just a moment. In that look, he saw everything they hadn't said. Everything they felt but couldn't express. Whatever came next, they would face it together. But for how long could they keep pretending there was nothing between them? And what would it cost when the truth came out? Fleet Admiral Krev moved through Artemis 7 like a predator hunting prey. His inspection was thorough and invasive. He questioned crew members for hours. He reviewed every report, every decision, every interaction between humans and Vrexians, and he focused especially on Lyra. 3 days into the inspection, he called her to a private meeting room. Jiwoo wanted to go with her, but Krev refused. This is between Vrexians, Krev said coldly. You are not invited, Commander. Jiwoo stood outside the door, his fists clenched. Captain Yoon stood beside him. This isn't right, Yoon muttered. He's targeting her. I know. But if we interfere, he'll use it as proof that humans are controlling Vrexian officers. Inside the room, Lyra sat across from Krev. His silver eyes bored into her. You have disgraced yourself, Krev said bluntly. Working with humans, living among them, fighting your own people for them. I fought extremists who were killing innocent civilians, Lyra replied calmly. You fought Vrexians for humans. There is no excuse for that. The war is over, Fleet Admiral. We need to move forward. By betraying everything we are? Krev leaned forward. I've been watching you, Officer Lyra. I've seen how you look at Commander Han, how you spend time with him, how close you've become. Lyra's skin flickered to defensive purple. Commander Han is my superior officer. We work together. You do more than work together. Krev pulled out a datapad and showed her images. Lyra and Jiwoo in the garden, in the observation deck, holding hands. This is inappropriate, unprofessional, shameful. We haven't violated any regulations. Regulations! Krev slammed his hand on the table. This isn't about regulations. This is about dignity, about pride, about remembering who we are. You are Vrexian. He is human. Your people and his killed each other for years. And now you think you can just forget that? Pretend it never happened? I haven't forgotten. I remember every friend I lost. Every battle. Every moment of pain. Lyra's voice shook slightly. But I also remember that continuing to hate accomplishes nothing. Building bridges accomplishes everything. Pretty words, but I see the truth. You've fallen for the human. You care about him more than your own people. Lyra said nothing. What could she say? Krev was right. She did care about Jiwoo, more than she should, more than was safe. I'm going to court-martial you, Krev said, for conduct unbecoming an officer, for betraying Vrexian values, for letting your emotions compromise your duty. On what evidence? I have enough. These images. Testimony from crew members about your relationship. Your decision to fight against Vrexians at Talis 4. Krev smiled coldly. By the time I'm done, you'll be stripped of rank and sent home in disgrace. And this entire integration program will be exposed as the failure it is. Outside, Jiwoo paced like a caged animal. Finally, the door opened. Lyra stepped out. Her skin was pale gray and she wouldn't meet his eyes. What happened? Jiwoo asked. We should talk privately. They went to Jiwoo's quarters. As soon as the door closed, Lyra's careful composure broke. Her skin flickered rapidly through colors, blue, purple, red, gray. He knows, she whispered. About us. About how we feel. There is no us. We haven't done anything wrong, haven't we? Lyra turned to face him. We've been lying to ourselves, Jiwoo. We both know what's happening between us. We both know it's more than just professional respect. Jiwoo wanted to deny it. But he couldn't, not anymore. He's going to court-martial me, Lyra continued. He has evidence. Pictures of us together. He's going to claim I've let personal feelings compromise my duty. That's insane. You're the best officer on this station. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care about truth. He cares about destroying the integration program. And I'm his weapon to do it. Jiwoo felt fury rising in him. We'll fight this. We'll prove he's wrong. How? By lying and saying we don't care about each other? Lyra's voice cracked. Because I can't do that. I can't stand in front of everyone and pretend that serving here hasn't been the most important thing in my life. That working with you hasn't changed me. That I don't— She stopped, her skin flushing deep pink. That you don't what? Jiwoo asked softly. That I don't love you. The words hung in the air between them. Jiwoo's heart pounded. He knew he should say something, but what? What could he say that wouldn't make everything worse? Before he could respond, his comm beeped. It was Admiral Park. Commander Han, report to my office immediately. Earth Fleet Command has arrived. They need to speak with you. Jiwoo and Lyra went to the Admiral's office together. Inside, they found not just Admiral Park, but also a woman in the uniform of Earth Fleet Command. She had sharp features and cold eyes. Commander Han, Officer Lyra, this is Admiral Choi Sumi from Earth Fleet Command. She's here because of Fleet Admiral Krev's investigation. Admiral Choi looked at them both with an unreadable expression. I'm going to be direct. The politicians on Earth are watching this situation very closely. If Krev succeeds in proving that the integration program is failing, it could collapse the entire peace treaty. There are hardliners on both sides looking for any excuse to restart hostilities. We haven't done anything wrong, Jiwoo said firmly. That may be true, but perception matters more than truth in politics. Admiral Choi pulled up a holoscreen showing various news articles. Krev has already been leaking information. Human and Vrexian media are running stories about inappropriate relationships and failed integration. They're using you two as examples of why the species can't work together. That's the opposite of the truth, Lyra protested. We've proven humans and Vrexians can cooperate successfully. Again, truth doesn't matter. What matters is that if this continues, the peace fails. And if the peace fails, millions die when the war restarts. Admiral Choi looked directly at Jiwoo. You need to make a choice, Commander. You can stand by Officer Lyra, defend your relationship and risk everything. Or you can distance yourself from her, denounce any personal feelings and save the peace. Jiwoo felt like he'd been punched in the gut. You're asking me to betray her. I'm asking you to think about the bigger picture. One relationship versus the lives of millions. What's more important? Jiwoo looked at Lyra. She was staring at the floor, her skin gray with despair. He wanted to take her hand. He wanted to tell everyone to go to hell and stand by her no matter what. But millions of lives? I need time to think, he said finally. You have until tomorrow. Krev is holding a formal hearing then. Whatever you decide, you need to be ready. After the admirals left, Jiwoo and Lyra stood alone in the hallway. You should do what they say, Lyra said quietly. Distance yourself from me. Protect your career and the peace. And let Krev destroy you? I'm just one person. The peace is more important. You're not just one person to me. Lyra looked up at him, tears in her silver eyes. Jiwoo! Before either could say more, Lieutenant Yoonji came running down the hall. She looked panicked. Commander, we have a situation. Someone's been sabotaging station systems. Small things at first, power fluctuations, comm disruptions. But now security has detected unauthorized access to the reactor controls. Jiwoo's blood ran cold. The reactor? Someone's trying to blow up the station? We don't know yet. But Chief Park Do-yun is investigating now. They ran to the engineering section. Chief Do-yun was at his console, his face grim. Someone planted malware in our systems. It's been there for weeks, quietly spreading. Now it's trying to trigger a reactor overload. Can you stop it? Jiwoo asked. I'm trying. But whoever did this knew what they were doing. This is military-grade sabotage code. Lyra leaned over the console, studying the code. Her eyes widened. This is Vrexian. What? The coding patterns. The structure. This is Vrexian military malware. She looked up at Jiwoo. Someone is trying to make it look like Vrexians are sabotaging the station. Or, a voice said from behind them, maybe it really is Vrexians. They turned. Lieutenant Commander Nam Minho stood in the doorway with several security officers. He was a tall man with a scarred face and hard eyes. You're under arrest, Officer Lyra, Nam Minho said, for sabotage and attempted murder. What? I didn't do this. The evidence says otherwise. Vrexian code, planted weeks ago right after you arrived. Who else would have done it? This is a setup. Jiwoo moved between Nam Minho and Lyra. She would never. Step aside, Commander. This isn't personal. It's procedure. Jiwoo's hand moved to his weapon. Around the room, other crew members tensed. The situation was seconds away from violence. Then Lyra put her hand on Jiwoo's shoulder. Don't. If you fight this, you'll only make it worse. I won't let them take you. You have to. She looked into his eyes. Trust me. Trust that the truth will come out. Every instinct screamed at Jiwoo to fight, but he stepped aside. Security officers moved forward and restrained Lyra. As they led her away, she looked back at him one last time. Her skin was amber, the color of hope. After she was gone, Jiwoo turned to Chief Do-hyun. Keep analyzing that code. Find proof she didn't do this. I'll do my best. Jiwoo left engineering and went to the security office. He needed to see the evidence himself, but as he reviewed the files, his heart sank. It looked bad. The malware had been planted from Lyra's console. Her access codes were used. Everything pointed to her except he knew her. He knew she would never do this, which meant someone was framing her, someone who wanted to destroy the integration program, someone who wanted the piece to fail. Jiwoo pulled up security records tracking everyone who had access to engineering over the past week. Jiwoo worked through the night. He pulled every security record, every access log, every communication. Captain Yoon and Lieutenant Yoonji helped him, their eyes red from exhaustion. Here, Yoonji said, pointing at her screen. Nam Minho accessed engineering at 0230 hours 6 weeks ago. That's when the malware was first planted. But he used Lyra's access codes, Yoon said. How did he get them? Jiwoo pulled up another file. He requested a security audit 2 months ago. As part of that, he had temporary access to all officer codes. He could have copied Lyra's codes then. It's not enough, Chief Do-yun said, walking in with his own datapad. We need to prove he has motive and means. Just showing he had access isn't enough. His family died in the war, Jiwoo said. That's motive. Lots of people lost family. That alone won't convict him. Jiwoo slammed his fist on the desk in frustration. They were so close. He knew Nam Minho was guilty. But without solid proof, Lyra would take the fall. Then Yoonji gasped. Commander, look at this. Nam Minho has been sending encrypted messages to an external source. I can't crack the encryption, but I can see the recipient. Who? Fleet Admiral Krev's ship. Everyone in the room went silent. Then Yoon spoke, his voice tight with anger. He's working with Krev. This whole thing is a setup. They plan to frame Lyra together. But why would Krev work with a human? Do-hyun asked. Because he doesn't care about species loyalty. He cares about power. Jiwoo felt pieces clicking together in his mind. If he can prove the integration program is failing, if he can show that humans and Vrexians can't trust each other, the peace treaty collapses. And in the chaos that follows, hardliners like Krev gain control. And Nam Minho helps him because he wants revenge, Yoonji said quietly. He wants Vrexians to suffer like his family suffered. We need to catch him before the hearing, Jiwoo said. Where is he now? Yoonji checked her console. He's in the reactor control room alone. Jiwoo's blood turned cold. He's going to finish what he started. He's going to blow the reactor and blame it on Lyra, make it look like a Vrexian attack. We need to stop him now. Yoon grabbed his weapon. They ran through the corridors. Jiwoo's mind raced. If Nam Minho succeeded, thousands would die, and the war would start again, worse than before. They reached the reactor level. The heavy doors were sealed. Through the window, they could see Nam Minho at the control console. His fingers flew across the controls. Warning lights flashed red. Open the door, Jiwoo ordered. It's locked from inside, Do-hyun said, working frantically at the panel. He's overridden the safety protocols. I can't break through. Inside the reactor room, Nam Minho looked up and saw them. He smiled. It was a cold, broken smile. Then he went back to his work. Jiwoo pounded on the door. Nam Minho, stop this. You'll kill everyone on the station. Nam Minho activated a comm panel. His voice came through speakers. That's the point, Commander. This station is a symbol of the failed peace. It needs to be destroyed. And when it explodes, everyone will know it was the Vrexians. They'll see that aliens can never be trusted. This won't bring your family back. No, but it will give them justice. The Vrexians killed them. Now Vrexians will pay. Lyra didn't kill your family. She's trying to build peace so no one else has to lose their families. Lyra is a traitor. To her people and to the truth. She deserves to die along with everyone else. The reactor temperature spiked. Alarms blared throughout the station. I can't stop it, Do-hyun said desperately. He's locked me out completely. We have maybe 10 minutes before the reactor goes critical. Jiwoo looked around frantically. Then he saw it. An emergency maintenance shaft that led into the reactor room. It was narrow and dangerous, but it was their only chance. I'm going in, he said. Commander, that shaft passes right next to the reactor core. The radiation, I know. But it's the only way. Jiwoo looked at Yoon. If I don't make it, get everyone off the station, evacuate. Jiwoo, that's an order. Captain. Jiwoo pulled open the maintenance shaft and climbed inside. The shaft was hot. Metal burned his hands. He could feel radiation prickling his skin, but he kept crawling forward. Behind him, he heard Yoon on the comm. Lyra, if you can hear this, the commander is trying to stop the sabotage. He needs you. We all need you. In her cell, Lyra sat with her hands restrained. Guards stood outside. She'd been there for hours, alone with her thoughts and fears. When she heard Yoon's message, her skin flared bright gold. I need to get out, she told the guards. The station is in danger. You're the danger, one guard replied. You're staying here. Listen to me. I didn't sabotage anything, but I know who did. If you don't let me out, everyone dies. The guards looked at each other uncertainly. Then the station shook. Another alarm blared. The reactor was getting worse. Please, Lyra begged. I can help. Let me help. One guard, a young woman named Private Hong Mina, made a decision. She unlocked Lyra's restraints. If you're lying, I'll shoot you myself. Understood. They ran to the reactor level. Lyra saw the sealed door and Do-hyun frantically working on the controls. Where's Jiwoo? She demanded. Inside. He went through the maintenance shaft. Lyra's skin went white with fear. That shaft is lethal. The radiation, he knows. He went anyway. Lyra turned to Do-hyun. Can you give me access to the internal comms? Yes, but do it. Do-hyun opened the channel. Lyra's voice echoed into the reactor room. Nam Minho, this is Officer Lyra. I know you can hear me. Inside, Nam Minho paused. Come to beg for your life? No, I came to tell you I understand your pain. You understand nothing. I lost my entire squadron. 23 people. My closest friends. My mentor who I loved like a father. I watched them die. I held them as they burned. Lyra's voice shook. I know what it's like to want revenge. To want someone to pay for your suffering. Then you know why I'm doing this. I know why you want to. But I also know that revenge won't heal you. It won't bring them back. It will only create more orphans. More widows. More people like you consumed by grief and rage. In the maintenance shaft, Jiwoo listened as he crawled closer to the reactor room entrance. Sweat poured down his face. His skin felt like it was on fire, but Lyra's voice kept him moving forward. The Vrexians who killed your family are dead, Lyra continued. Most died in the war. The rest will die of old age. But the children on this station, human and Vrexian children, they're innocent. They didn't kill anyone. They just want to live in peace, and there is no peace. There's only war and death. No, there's also hope. There's also the choice to be better. To build something instead of destroying. Lyra pressed her hand against the window. I chose hope when I fought my own mentor to protect humans. I chose hope when I decided to work with Commander Han even though it terrified me. I choose hope every day, even when it hurts. Nam Minho's hands hovered over the controls. For the first time, doubt crossed his face. Your family wouldn't want this. Lyra said softly. They wouldn't want you to kill children. They wouldn't want you to become a monster in their name. You don't know what they'd want. You're right. I didn't know them. But I know you. I've read your file. You were a good man once. A hero. You saved people. You protected the innocent. That man is still inside you. I believe that. Tears ran down Nam Minho's face. I miss them so much. Every day. It hurts so much, I know. But killing everyone here won't stop the pain. It will only spread it to others. The reactor temperature climbed higher. They were running out of time. Then the maintenance shaft door burst open. Jiwoo stumbled out, his skin red from radiation burns. He was weak, barely standing, but he was inside. Nam Minho spun around, raising his weapon. But he hesitated. Jiwoo looked terrible, burned, exhausted, clearly suffering. But he'd come anyway. Commander Han, Nam Minho said. You should have stayed away. I can't. Jiwoo took a step forward. I can't let you do this. Not just because it's my job, but because I understand you. You understand nothing. I lost people too. Friends. Brothers. People I loved. Jiwoo took another step. I blamed the Vrexians. I hated them. When they assigned Lyra to me, I wanted to refuse. I thought it was impossible to work with the enemy. Then you know I'm right. No, you're wrong, because Lyra isn't my enemy. She's the best officer I've ever worked with. She's brave and honorable, and she cares more about doing what's right than what's easy. Jiwoo's voice grew stronger. And she's taught me that peace isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing not to let hate define our future. Nam Minho's weapon wavered. I can't let it go. I can't forget. No one's asking you to forget. We're asking you to forgive, to choose life over death. Jiwoo held out his hand. Please stop this. Let us help you heal. For a long moment, Nam Minho stood frozen. The reactor alarm screamed. The temperature gauge hit critical. They had seconds left. Then Nam Minho lowered his weapon. His whole body sagged. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. He moved to the controls and started entering shutdown codes. Jiwoo helped him, their hands working together frantically. Outside, Do-hyun guided them through the emergency protocols. The reactor temperature began to drop. The alarms quieted. Slowly, the crisis passed. When it was finally safe, security officers entered and took Nam Minho into custody. He didn't resist. He looked empty, broken, but also somehow relieved.